सतगुरु नानक परगटया मिट धुंध जग चानन होआ.
Good evening, everyone. Sat Shri Akal ji, bonjour, Vaheguru ji ka khalsa, Vaheguru ji ki fateh. I am joining you from Waterloo, Ontario, on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Neutral peoples. Thank you to my fellow cabinet colleagues, Minister Sajjan and Minister Baines, for joining me as co-hosts for the virtual Gurpurb on the Hill celebrations. I'd also like to give a warm welcome to our Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau, members of the Liberal Sikh Caucus, and everyone joining us. A special thank you to members of the Sikh community for being with us on Gurpurb as we celebrate the birth of Guru Nanak Sahib Ji. धन्यवाद कि तुसी टाइम कट के आज साडे नाल शामिल होए हो. Guru Nanak Sahib Ji advocated for peace, equality, altruism, open-mindedness, respect, and compassion, values that many of us share. Le Guru Nanak Sahib Ji a prôné la paix, l'égalité, l'altruisme, l'ouverture d'esprit, le respect et la compassion, des valeurs que beaucoup d'entre nous partagent. Gurpurb is a celebration that I look forward to every year. Throughout the world, in Canada, and right here in the Waterloo region, Sangat gathers at gurdwaras, places of worship, and their homes, but not this year. We acknowledge it has not been easy, but my faith in Guru Nanak Sahib Ji and his teachings have never been stronger. We've all had our challenges, yet, true to Canadian fashion, we have found ways to adapt and to move forward together. Ek Onkar. As Canada's Minister of Diversity and Inclusion in Youth, I would like to take this moment to wish everyone a peaceful and joyous Guru Nanak Gurpurb, and I hope you enjoy this virtual celebration and time with us. Shri Guru Nanak Sahib Ji ਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਗਤ ਨੂੰ ਗੁਰਪੁਰਬ ਦੀਆਂ ਲੱਖ ਲੱਖ ਵਧਾਈਆਂ. Now I'd like to introduce you to Puneet Kaur from Khalsa School and Gurraman Kaur Sekhon from Sikh Academy from Surrey, British Columbia, who will share about the importance of Gurpurab and Shri Guru Nanak Sahib Ji.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Puneet and I'm a grade 7 student at Khalsa School, Old Eel Road. I am an immigrant from Spain and I want to take a moment to appreciate Canada and its multiculturalism policy. This country has given me many opportunities to connect with my Sikh roots and learn more about my religion. In this Gurpurb, our celebrations may look different due to the pandemic, but our teachings of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, our first Guru, remain as inspired, relevant and timeless. Since childhood, Guru Nanak Dev Ji had the ideals of serving humanity, so let's begin by being compassionate to each other, now more than ever. Wishing you all a very happy and safe Gurpurb.
जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह. मैं आज गुरु नानक देव जी बारे बोलांगी. गुरु नानक देव जी 1469 ਈਸਵੀ ਨੂੰ ਰਾਏਭੋਇ ਦੀ ਤਲਵੰਡੀ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੋਏ ਸਨ. ਉਹ ਇੱਕ ਰੱਬ ਤੇ ਭਰੋਸਾ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਸਨ. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਿਖਾਇਆ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਬੰਦੇ ਜਾਂ ਮੂਰਤੀ ਦੀ ਪੂਜਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਹਨੇਰੇ ਚੋਂ ਕੱਢ ਚਾਨਣ ਦਿਖਾਇਆ. ਉਹ ਪੁਰਾਣੀ ਰੀਤੀ ਰਿਵਾਜ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਜਾਤ ਪਾਤ ਅਤੇ ਰੰਗ ਭੇਟ ਦੇ ਵਿਰੁੱਧ ਸਨ. ਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਨੇ 3 ਸਿਧਾਂਤ ਦਿੱਤੇ. ਕਿਰਤ ਕਰੋ, ਭਾਵ ਜੋਰ ਲਾ ਕੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨਾ. ਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਨੇ 17 ਸਾਲ ਆਪ ਖੇਤੀ ਕੀਤੀ. ਨਾਮ ਜਪਣਾ ਅਤੇ ਵੰਡ ਛਕਣਾ, ਸੇਵਾ ਸਿਮਰਨ, ਸੰਗਤ ਪੰਗਤ, ਲੰਗਰ ਵਿਦਿਆ, ਇਸਤਰੀ ਦਾ ਸਤਿਕਾਰ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਦੇ ਮੁੱਖ ਸਿਧਾਂਤ ਹਨ. ਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਨੂੰ ਗੁਰੂ ਆਖਿਆ. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਬਾਣੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਵਿੱਚ ਦਰਜ ਕੀਤੀ. ਆਓ ਆਪਾਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਸਿਧਾਂਤਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਾਈਏ. ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ.
Puneet and Gurraman, ਜੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੈ ਨਾ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕੀਤੇ ਨੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਖੂਬਸੂਰਤ ਸੀਗੇ. Thank you so much to Gurraman and to Puneet for sharing those gracious words. You are so wise, and just like Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says, you are not only the leaders of tomorrow, you are the leaders of today, and you have shared that exactly perfectly. So thank you for that. I now will turn the screen over to the Minister of Industry, Science and Economic Development, the Honorable Navdeep Bains.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh, and good evening, everyone. As we celebrate Guru Nanak Dev Ji's 551st Gurpurb, I would like to thank the Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Justin Trudeau, my cabinet colleagues, Minister Chagger, Minister Sajjan, of course, and members of the Liberal Caucus, and most importantly, all of you for taking time to celebrate this very auspicious day for the Sikh faith. Now, Guruji has taught us many important lessons on how to live a righteous life, but the lesson of selfless service, seva, is one that I want to highlight this evening through the exemplary work of a few specific organizations. Khalsa Aid is an international NGO that has provided humanitarian aid in disaster areas and civil conflict zones around the world. Their volunteers often take on personal risk to assist those that require assistance at their most pressing time of need. And these individuals exemplify the concept of selfless service. The organization is based upon the Sikh principle of recognize the whole human race as one. And in my riding of Mississauga, Malton, and across the Peel region, this next organization has made a positive impact on so many vulnerable in our society. Seva Food Bank was founded 10 years ago on Guru Nanak's values of Chardi Kala, which is about eternal optimism, Sarbat da Pala, the well-being of all, and Seva, selfless service. Unfortunately, the pandemic has been an accelerator of many underlying issues, including food insecurity. And Seva works hard daily to mitigate these locally. This year, Seva Food Bank saw the number of new families accessing our food bank services increase by 40% versus this time last year. And these are people who never needed to use a food bank previously. And in September and in October, Seva served over 1,000 families each month. And for the first time in the history, they did this. Every day, the Seva family works hard to serve everyone in need in the local community with essential, culturally appropriate food. Also in my riding is an institution that works tirelessly, and yes, selflessly, to preserve, share, and tell the stories of Sikhs in Canada, which the Prime Minister has said is the story of Canada. The Sikh Heritage Museum has educated and provided inspiration to many people, but especially young people. This is why we are proud to have supported them financially. So our next speaker strived to become a boxing champion, but also rose to the challenge of becoming a champion of human rights outside the ring. He successfully challenged the Boxing Association and won the right to wear the dastar, a turban, to not have to also shave his beard to compete. So I am pleased today to introduce the Executive Director of the Sikh Heritage Museum, Pradeep Nagra, who will lead us through a virtual tour of the Sikh Heritage Museum. Over to you, Pradeep.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I want to welcome everybody to this gathering of the Gurpurb of Guru Nanak and wish everybody a happy Gurpurb. And thank you very much, Minister Bains and your colleagues for your gratitude. And as you mentioned, this is almost the bookend to, I remember the announcement that you had made in helping support the Sikh Heritage Museum of Canada through Heritage Canada and the Canadian History Fund, for us to continue our great research and to be able to share the great historical story of Canada through the lens of Sikhs across the country through a timeline and heritage trail. And that funding was really critical to really create a lot of resources and assets in our community. And so we're really proud to be able to do the work we do, and want to thank Heritage Canada for the funding to be able to help us expand our work and have a national interest in the story of Canada. And we made a little short video because Guru Nanak's spirit and thoughts are never far away from us, even today as we're commemorating his Gurpurb. And equally, when we're looking at the story of the first settlers and pioneers in Canada, Guru Nanak was not far away from their thoughts and actions as well. And so I just want to share with everybody a quick short video clip and just remind Minister Baines and the audience that, for us, how close it is to home, that, our children are namesake comes from Guru Nanak and Bibi Nanaki, and, my daughter's name is Nanaki as well. So it's always important and close for us to be able to come together as a community to celebrate. And hope you enjoyed this little video clip that we made to share some of the history of our early pioneers and their connection to Guru Nanak. Thank you. I want to welcome everybody to the Sikh Heritage Museum of Canada as we celebrate Guru Nanak's Gurpurb. I want to first of all acknowledge that we are here on the traditional lands of various First Nations and Indigenous communities, and it's an honor to celebrate the history of Sikhs in Canada as a settler community on this great land of Turtle Island. We're going to be sharing with you a long history with Canada that spans over 150 years, starting from 1809 to the present day. And we're going to be focusing on some neat artifacts and resources that we have here at the museum that specifically connect to our history and Guru Nanak. We've been honored in the last couple of years, starting in 2018, to receive funding from the government through Heritage Canada to initiate a number of different projects, including the Canadian Sikh Heritage Trail, the Canadian Sikh Timeline, and Pioneer Voices. And through these stories and through these initiatives, we are being able to explore the great history and civic life towards nation building of Sikh pioneer communities in Canada. As we're celebrating Guru Nanak's Gurpurb, we want to share a number of different marker dates and artifacts that relate to the Sikh pioneer experience and the influence of Guru Nanak and the Sikh community in Canada. The first date that I want to share with everybody is to know when did the Sikh scripture come to Canada. And the Sikh scripture is very important because it is the foundation for the community here in Canada, and it serves as a guidepost and a source of great inspiration and pride for the Sikh community in Canada. And in 1904, Bhai Arjan Singh brought the Sri Guru Granth Sahib to Canada. And so the Sri Guru Granth Sahib, the Sikh scripture, contains the writings of Guru Nanak and the successive gurus who carried on the great spirit of Guru Nanak of charity and seva and earning honest living, as well as sharing what we have with others. In addition to that, the Sikh community was facing a lot of discrimination and racism, and in spite those harsh conditions, it still found the strength and resiliency to fight back through opening and establishing its own business enterprises. And in 1909, Harvard graduate Professor Teja Singh established the Guru Nanak Mining Trust Company. And the primary reason behind the establishment of the Guru Nanak Mining Trust Company was to organize and secure the economic welfare of the Sikh community. And again, I want to point out how that the Sikh community was always grounded and inspired by the teachings of the founder of the Sikh faith, Guru Nanak. And the very first company that the Sikh community ever opened up in the history of Canada was the Guru Nanak Mining Trust, through the namesake of the founder of the Sikh faith. The Sikh Heritage Museum of Canada contains many different artifacts. One of the ones I want to share today to commemorate Guru Nanak is this beautiful Indian miniature painting that we have. This painting was gifted to the Sikh Heritage Museum of Canada in 2015 by the Government of Canada. It was created by Virendra Bannu, and it's painted in the traditional miniature style of Indian paintings, and it features Guru Nanak alongside his two disciples, Bhai Mardana and Bhai Balla. I just want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for spending a little bit of time as we went on a journey of Sikhs in Canada and sharing the importance of Guru Nanak in our legacy here as settlers, as pioneers, and as nation builders. If you're looking for any more information regarding the Sikh Heritage Museum of Canada, I would encourage you to visit our Facebook page or visit our website at www.shmc.ca. Once again, thank you very much, and happy Gurpurb.
Thank you so much, Pardeep, for your wonderful tour. It was such a pleasure to visit the museum a number of years ago, and I look forward to coming back and seeing it once we're all through this COVID challenge. but it really is so important, not just for the Sikh community, but for all Canadians, that we understand the extraordinary contributions of the Sikh community, not just on Gurpurab, but every day as we look back. So thank you for all your leadership on the Sikh Heritage Museum. Keep up the great work, and from one boxer to another, both of us retired. Keep fighting.
Thank you so much, Prime Minister, for those great words of confidence, and really just taking a moment to acknowledge that you've visited and you look forward to being back again. As much as COVID has been hard, this is one of those opportunities where, regardless you are in the country or the world, you're able to experience the importance of the Sikh Heritage Museum and the tremendous work that is being done. Without further ado, I would now like to introduce the Minister of National Defence, the Honourable Harjit Singh Sajjan. Over to you, Minister.
Hey everyone, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. While Harj figures out his unmute button, it looks like he was in a proper studio where people far more responsible than him were supposed to do that. So it's not your technical abilities. We know you're good at that, Harj. I just wanted to take a moment to wish a happy Gurpurab to everyone. It is a really important time for us to come together, even more so this year than normal, because COVID-19 is keeping us all separate. That being able to come together and celebrate like this is really wonderful. So it's wonderful to be here with Minister Sajjan, Minister Bains, Minister Chagar, all of our friends from the Sikh community and Sikh members of Parliament as well. I would be remiss if I didn't start also by recognizing the news coming out of India about the protests by farmers. The situation is concerning, and we're all very worried about family and friends. I know that's the reality for many of you. Let me remind you, Canada will always be there to defend the right of peaceful protest. We believe in the importance of dialogue, and that's why we've reached out through multiple means directly to the Indian authorities to highlight our concerns. This is a moment for all of us to pull together, because of COVID and because of everything else as well. We're going to be there to continue to work together as we there to help each other out. And as we think of neighbors helping neighbors, as we have throughout this pandemic, it is really worthwhile to think about Guru Nanak Dev Ji, whose teachings on equality, compassion, and selfless service is truly at the heart, not just of Sikhism, but of Canadian values as well. These are the values we all strive to live by. And we've seen over the past many months as communities have stepped up to help each other, as young people have helped elders who are isolated, as people are making sacrifices every day to get through this real challenge. We've seen that these values are so important now as much as any time. So as we celebrate this this anniversary, this happy Gurpurab. This is my first Gurpurab, so I'm learning the language on this one. I have been to many celebrations over the past years, but I'm really honored to be able to celebrate with you on this one, but not celebrate alone. I'm really excited that we're here with Harnarayan Singh, who is well known to all of you, and it is exciting for me to be able to talk with him about Gurpurab, about the values of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, and its implication not just for the Sikh community, but for Canada as well. We're a country of multiculturalism, where multiculturalism used to mean, finding out little bits about each other's cultures. It now means living and celebrating together every single day, whether it's non-Sikhs celebrating Gurpurab, or whether it's Sikhs getting involved and taking over our national sport, as Harnarayan certainly has. It's very exciting. So I'm looking forward to the conversation with Harnarayan, or maybe we'll hear from Harjit Singh. It's always a wonderful surprise on these Zoom videos, so we'll see what comes next. I'm just really happy to be here as part of it.
I guess I should wait to see if Mr. Sajjan is going to speak or not. But thank you very much, Prime Minister Trudeau. Happy Gurpurb to you, and happy Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Gurpurb to everyone who is watching and all of the Sikh community in Canada. And you said it really well. I just feel so, it's very heartwarming just to be able to be a part of this. And, I think it's an example to the entire world. That is the beauty of Canada, that we can celebrate our differences, and we can show that it can be done in a harmonious way. And I think we are an example to the world. And this is everyone's talking about the situation, the reality that we're in because of COVID-19. But I really think that this, for me personally, for my family, for the community, this is an unforgettable Gurpurb for me, Prime Minister Trudeau, just to be able to be a part of this.
Well, you know what? It really has forced us not to take certain things for granted. Maybe I know a lot of people might have celebrated with a little corner of their community. We now get to celebrate right across the country, and all of us coming together in a virtual way that we might not have, if we had been able to join in the same room, we probably wouldn't have been able to because of travel restrictions and time zones and everything. So we can actually look for new ways during this difficult time to connect. But I know we're all looking forward to coming back together. Listen, Harnarayan, what you were talking about in terms of diversity is something that I believe in so strongly. And you and I have talked about this before. I mean, one of the amazing things about Canada is we're a country that's been created by addition. It's not a single culture that everyone coming over has to try and conform to, like some countries and immigration is. Canada is one where we get to layer on different levels of identity, different connections, and learn from each other and enrich our lives. I mean, I think of what the Sikh community has brought to Canada over the many decades, from some of the difficult lessons that the Sikh community has taught us about who we think we are. I mean, when we have to confront the fact that we turned away the Komagata Maru because of strong racism and not knowing any better, not understanding who we were called to be as a country, we have to recognize those difficulties of the past. And we recognize them in the past, and we can all know that things are much better now. But I know that there are still real challenges, and the work that you've done, particularly around anti-racism, has been inspiring for many people, and your love of hockey has brought you into a national spotlight on that. Maybe you can talk a little bit about the work you're doing with young Canadians and connecting to diversity through hockey, which is something all Canadians can connect with.
Yes, needless to say, I'm a very patriotic Canadian, and I always have been. But Prime Minister, growing up in a small town, I had to often justify my Canadianness to other people. And it's something that I've had to continue to do throughout my adulthood life as well. And I recently wrote a book called One Game at a Time, my journey from small town Alberta to hockey's biggest stage. And, that's the story that I tell in there, is that I'll give you a small example. And sometimes it can be well-intentioned too, where a salesperson came to my hometown, Brooks, Alberta, to our door one evening, and well-intentioned, but left saying, "Welcome to Canada." And for me, it was gut-wrenching. It really broke my heart that here I am, my bedroom window has a Canadian flag. My obsession and my love for the game of hockey, was so strong, and so many people knew about that, and it really helped become an anchor for me and my Canadianness. But and sometimes we receive very blunt forms of racism, go back to where you came from, and all sorts of those comments. But sometimes it's well-intentioned too, where it's a comment that breaks your heart. And my dream to become a hockey broadcaster, you mentioned that, it was met with a lot of skepticism, and there was a lot of people who told me it wouldn't be possible just because of how I looked and because of the lack of diversity in sports TV and radio. But after persevering through a lot of challenges and obstacles, it did come to fruition. And I truly believe that it's only in Canada where my story would have been possible. It's very rare to find a society and a nation, where we have these opportunities available to anyone. And that's really my story. And I hope that it provides inspiration to others that, no matter what your hopes and dreams are, you can achieve those here. And I think I hope you picked up your copy, but I think you'll enjoy the fact that social studies was my favorite subject, and you being a former teacher, I think you'll find that pretty amusing.
Well, I think one of the amazing things about your story is that your love of hockey, your love of Canada pushed you to break barriers that nobody thought could be broken. And now there are, thousands and thousands of sick kids watching you on TV, saying, oh yeah, look, I want to do that. I can do that. He's doing that. Every time someone breaks a barrier, you have a whole next generation of people saying, oh, okay, that's one of the things I can do. I can follow my dreams. There are no limits. And that's what's so exciting. And one of the great things about diversity is that bringing different perspectives to bear actually enriches the experience for everyone. What you bring when you add to your perspective when you're calling a game, when you're talking about hockey, is different from the way mainstream people would talk about it in the past, but is much more aligned with a whole different segment of the audience that wants to find a connection there as well. And what we're doing is we're actually deepening and enriching the fabric of our country. And it happens when we pull people together, when we learn from each other. And that really, for me, goes back to something that I believe in so deeply, which is that concept of service. I was certainly raised to understand that service to community, whether it was as a teacher or now as a politician, following in my father's footsteps, who certainly drilled service into me. And you can't talk about service, particularly not on this day, without reflecting on the values of Seva and how it is such a core element of Sikhism that has infused Canadian identity and community as well. You can't, go through any city in the country without, seeing examples of Seva from the community that aren't just focused on the Sikh community. It is not just about helping within the community, it's helping the broader Canadian community as well. And that's when you really see the magic of this diversity come together. So I remember being in my early years as a politician, because until I became a politician, I never really spent a lot of time understanding Sikhism like most Canadians. And then when Navdeep Bains started to explain to me the tenets of it, I'm like, well, no wonder you guys are so active in Canadian. You and your family now are so active in Canadian politics. No wonder there's such a call to service. The values of Sikhism, the values that Guru Nanak Dev Ji put forward align with the values and the ideals of what it is to be Canadian. That search for equality, that respect for each other, compassion, a willingness to be there for each other, a willingness to work hard, a look to play fair, to play by the rules and make sure people are safe. Those core identities of Sikhism fit so magnificently into Canada that Canada has benefited tremendously from these values. So celebrating today is, for me, celebrating Canadian identity as much as it is celebrating Guru Nanak Dev Ji.
That's beautiful to hear, Prime Minister Trudeau. And you mentioned playing fair and playing by the rules. And I think that's what a lot of people in the Sikh community top of mind with the farmer protests going on in India. And that's what everybody's hoping, that's what they want to achieve, is to have things be played fair and played by the rules. And Guru Nanak himself farmed the land of Punjab himself. And it's really special to be able to have Guru Nanak bring this concept of seva, but he also portrayed it in his own life and gave us an example. And I'm really proud to hear of all these organizations like Khalsa Aid, and even here in Calgary, the Smesh Culture Center, the largest Sikh Gurdwara in Calgary, they've been so active over the course of the COVID-19 pandemic in terms of food bank and clothing donations, and in terms of langar, giving out food to the needy, and other organizations in Canada, the World Sikh Organization of Canada, standing up for justice and racial equality and those types of issues. That's a concept of seva. But I'll give you one little small anecdote as well. When Hockey Night in Canada Punjabi first began, I had to make a big decision on whether I could be a part of it because I lived in Alberta and it was a small scale show in the original days in Toronto. And I had to make a decision to pay for my own flights. And I remember my mom saying to me, you know, think of this as seva for the community. The show is an achievement for the community. It's you know, bringing us together, nation building. It's growing the game of hockey, and it's about representation. And she said, if you think of it as seva, you might have to pay for your flights for these few years, but someday it's going to pay off. And that's what I did. I took that concept. That concept of seva can be applied in so many different aspects of your life. I don't know if you've ever watched Hockey Night Punjabi, but I know you're a Habs fan. I bet the Habs games will sound a lot better when you're watching it in Punjabi.
Habs games sound great in whatever language. I'm always trying to fight for myself, whether I watch them in English or French. Really depends on which channel I land on first. But I'll make sure to check it out in Punjabi as well. And you know, I'm thinking about you know, the way Canadian culture sort of blends in, and I can't obviously but notice the hockey player behind you, and I'm thinking, oh, I don't even have a hockey player behind me. I have a puck back there. You can't see that my son from his first goal in his first game, he was the player of the game. So that was a big thing when he was about 10. But I do have behind me, you know, just to be proper thing, a proper sort. So we have cross cultures everywhere as we deal with what Canada is, and this bringing together of identity is really what we're celebrating tonight. And it's just such a real pleasure to see you and to be able to celebrate with everyone this wonderful moment. So happy Guru Purab to everyone, and thank you so much, Harnarayan, for all your leadership and your inspirations. I'll leave you the last words.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to say my great-grandfather came to Canada over 100 years ago, and it was mentioned earlier on this Zoom call about the challenges and the racism that the pioneers faced in those days. And, you know, my sister was able to celebrate Vaisakhi with you. And for me to be able to do this for myself, for my family, for the entire community, it's very, very special. So I just want to really, you know, from the bottom of my heart, I really want to thank you and I show my appreciation, because this is the beauty of Canada, and it's an honor for me to be a part of this.
And I have to say that was an inspirational conversation, and I cannot think of any other country in which this would take place. So boss, brother, this was exactly what Canada is about. So we talk about in Canada, diversity is our strength. And if we could actually get to the fundamental roots of what that democracy and that diversity means, we would actually be able to do it. So in the true teachings of Shri Guru Nanak Sahib Ji, Minister Sajan was like, you don't need to come back to me. People want to get to their families. And I said, if I got to hear from people like you when I was growing up, I would have never questioned whether I should get to run for office or if I actually belong at the cabinet table. And yes, we are lucky enough to have a prime minister like the Right Honorable Justin Trudeau that picks individuals like us, that puts, you know, women like us in decision-making roles and recognizes that each of us belongs. So it's instrumental that we hear from the Minister of National Defense, the Honorable Harjit Singh Sajan. Minister, over to you.
Thank you, Bardesh. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I was supposed to introduce Harnarayan and the Prime Ministers, but they're icons. They don't need any introductions. And as you just saw from the conversation there, it's always extremely motivating to hear from them and the conversations. Now, inclusivity, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, if you look at it, I reflect every time we come to this year of what Guru Nanak Dev Ji represented. The Gurus called him, he was the first warrior. He didn't pick up a sword, but he always stood up when there was injustice in society. He stood up at the time when there was inequality in society and say, no, everybody's equal, regardless of your religion, regardless of your gender. I mean, we talk about gender equality, and our Prime Minister championed in our cabinet gender equality. Guru Nanak Dev Ji did this a long time ago. So when I look at this year is a reflection about not what we can do as a society, I reflect upon what can I do. And for me, that's important, because if we all reflect upon what we can do, collectively, we all make a massive difference. This is something the Prime Minister actually has championed all along. And especially now, during this difficult time of COVID, we see some of the injustice that has come up when it comes to systemic racism. It just shows that we have a lot of work to do. But we don't hide. We can't hide. We are Sikhs. The Gurus gave us this identity. We had to choose this identity for a reason, so you can stand up. And why? Because it builds confidence. Every time you have a challenge, you build that strength, as Haranarayan Singh had just talked about. Those challenges that we all face are not ones to hold us down. They're ones to lift us up because we learn from them. And that's what Guru Nanak Dev Ji's message was about. And he didn't talk about religions of saying you need to be a Sikh to fight for these values. As we know, these are the values of Sikhi are the same values as Canadians. And that's why that's a wonderful country and a beautiful country that we live in today. That when you look at Canadians fighting for the values, when you see our Canadian Armed Forces out there, they fight for those values everywhere they go. So be proud of who you are. And I always tell my kids is confidence attracts. When you're confident, people want to be around you. And that's what both of my kids do. I have a daughter who's 12 now, and I have a son. But my wife and I focus a lot of our teachings about gender equality to our son, because we know if we teach him, he's going to champion those causes. My daughter obviously will automatically do so. So I'd be remiss also if I didn't mention some of the wonderful organizations that are out there in my riding and some of my MP's ridings in British Columbia, like Guru Nanak Dev Ji's Free Kitchen, where their mission is love all and feed all. And they've been doing this for a very long time. And even during this pandemic, they masked up and continued their wonderful work. And I just want to thank you, all the volunteers that have continued that work, all the Gurdwaras that have continued that work, even at a difficult time when we could not be together. It does not mean that we're apart. We can remain together. And I just want to end with, I was supposed to introduce those two icons, but I'm going to say a few things about them. Haranarayan Singh, when he took hockey, which is something so fundamental to us. As I was telling Haranarayan that I won't hold it against him that he's a Flames fan, but I know the Prime Minister is as a Canadians fan, and he knows the arguments that we have about hockey against each other. But that's what Canada is about, because regardless of what country that you're from, we're all Canadians. You know, when we fight against each of our teams, what could be more Canadian than this? And Haranarayan has taken those things that we love so much. My mom, who could not understand the hockey, but she knew exactly what was going on. She knew when the Canucks were ahead, she'd say, watch, they're going to lose, or they're going to get into a fight. And she was right. But now when she was able to listen to it in Punjabi, she felt that, wow, Canada is embracing her. So even though she doesn't speak English, she knows how much of a Canadian that she is, because she came here and raised two kids, just like any other immigrant story, and we got to contribute to Canada. And Prime Minister, this is not about an introduction, this is about talking about you. And reason it's important for people to know, we talk about making a difference around the world. I've seen a lot of people in my past who have said things, and which is great. A voice is important. But at the end of the day, you need to make a difference in people's lives. It's your actions that matter. And that's one of the things that I have seen of you since from the time that I got to meet you, from the time that I became a member of parliament and a minister. You have not only championed, but taken action around the world. Some things that people will see, and a lot of conversations that people will not know. But it's important for all Canadians, and especially the Sikh community, to know that our Prime Minister always champions the causes of when it comes to injustice out there. And that's what matters. So not words matter, but actions speak even louder. So thank you for allowing us, Prime Minister, also to be a champion for Canada. And all of you, we're looking forward to you one day to not only take on our roles, but go even beyond and have an impact on the world, because that's what Guru Nanak Dev Ji wanted. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Minister Sajan, this is why you had to speak. And so it doesn't matter what team you pick, as long as you pick Team Canada, because we will get through it together. And this is a country in which opportunities are always available. And I'll promise you that as a Minister of Diversity, Inclusion and Youth, under the leadership of this Prime Minister, we're going to fight for you to ensure that we not only get through this pandemic, but we actually build back even better and consciously more inclusive. So you've had the opportunity tonight to hear from numerous individuals, but we also have a whole solid team of other colleagues that want to share some comments with you. So ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਬਸ 2 ਮਿੰਟ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਜੋ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਾਥੀ ਸਾਡੇ colleagues ਹੈਗੇ ਮੈਂਬਰਸ ਆਫ ਪਾਰਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਮਾਰੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ 2 ਸ਼ਬਦ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਸੋ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਗੁਰਪੁਰਬ ਦੀਆਂ ਲੱਖ ਲੱਖ ਵਧਾਈਆਂ ਹੋਣ Today, as we celebrate the birth of Guru Nanak Dev Ji, we must not only remember his teachings, but we must embody them. And therefore, I'd like to recognize a special organization that does just that. EcoSig Canada, through the leadership of Roop Singh Sidhu and Ravneet Singh, have done remarkable work. Their entire team has been working hard and they just celebrated their first anniversary. Their organization promotes and facilitates unification of the Canadian Sikh community in climate action.
I want to take this moment to extend my sincere thanks to Khalsa Aid Windsor for launching the Khalsa Aid meal service for essential workers, delivering more than 3,500 meals during the pandemic to essential truck drivers, healthcare workers, and CBSA officers at the Ambassador Bridge. Over 1,500 food and essential supply packages were also distributed to the local downtown mission, the women's shelter, and directly to vulnerable members of the community. My warmest, sincerest thanks for the incredible seva, selfless service and leadership that Sikhs continue to display in Windsor-Tecumseh.
I wish everyone a happy Gurpurab. Gurpurab diyan bahut badaiyan. I would like to recognize the amazing work of our Global Village Charitable Foundation, a women-led volunteer organization serving the Surrey region for the past 7 years. During the COVID-19 pandemic, dedicated volunteers have produced and distributed over 17,000 handmade masks for children and adults to help flatten the curve. I want to recognize the leadership of Meera Gill and thank her and her wonderful team.
Hello, Sat Sri Akal. This is Ikra Khalid, Member of Parliament in Mississauga, Erin Mills, wishing all Canadians a very happy Gurpurab and a very special shout out to Shiromani Sikh Sangat Gurdwara in my riding of Mississauga, Erin Mills. Twadi seva di bahut dhanyawad, and I really thank you for your contributions to our community, to all of the excellent work that you do in ensuring that nobody gets left behind.
Sat Sri Akal. This is Sean Chen, Member of Parliament for Scarborough North. As we celebrate the birth of the first Sikh Guru, allow me this opportunity to recognize the incredible work of the Scarborough Gurdwara, Gursikh Sabha Canada, located in our riding of Scarborough North. Throughout the pandemic, the Gurdwara has contributed to food boxes distributed to families and students in particular who were in need. During this pandemic, the Gurdwara also organized for PPE like masks and shields to be donated to local communities to protect our seniors and to schools to protect our children.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Je vous souhaite un joyeux anniversaire de la naissance du Guru Nanak Sahib Ji, le fondateur de la religion Sikh. Guru Nanak Sahib taught us to have a meaningful life, we must serve others in need. And as such, I'd like to highlight Gurdwara Guru Nanak Darbar LaSalle, a Gurdwara in my riding that helped others during the pandemic and in other times of need. In praying before Vaheguru for the well-being and protection of all, Nanak Naam Chaddi Kala Tere Pane Sarbat Da Pala.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Guru Nanak Dev Ji de Gurpurab diya ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਲੱਖ ਲੱਖ ਵਧਾਈ ਹੋਵੇ. Happy Gurpurab to everyone on Guru Nanak's birthday. I want to wish you all a great and happy Gurpurab. This is a time we celebrate Guru Nanak's fundamental pillar, which was seva and service. So I want to honor and recognize 3 organizations. First, Guru Nanak Food Bank, who here in Surrey built their first food bank and serve those that are sometimes maybe shy of getting a little extra help or need it and are not able to go to some of the other food banks. So a big shout out to them for opening up this year. The second organization is Global Village. Global Village has made thousands and thousands of masks. The women have sewn them in fancy and different types of cloth to give to organizations and people around the world. And lastly, a similar organization, the Sewing Army of Surrey, they have also made enormous amounts of masks to give to those much needed, including those in old folks' homes, senior cares, and live-in caregivers.
Sat Sri Akal. I'm Kamal Kara, a proud Member of Parliament for the beautiful riding of Brampton West, and I want to send my best wishes to everyone on the birth anniversary of our first Guru, Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Happy Gurpurab to you all. This year has had its fair share of challenges, but we've also seen our Sikh community step up to help our neighbors, and I'm extremely honored to recognize one of those organizations, Sahaita, which translates to help in Punjabi, is helping our community in the fight against COVID-19 on multiple fronts by making and donating PPE to our essential workers and doing cleanup drives in our parks so that our youth, our seniors, and our families can safely enjoy outdoor places.
Hi, I'm Ken Hardy, Member of Parliament for Fleetwood Port Kells, and one of the most vibrant and engaged Sikh communities in all of Canada. It's an honor to join you to celebrate the birth of Guru Nanak and to celebrate all that Narinder Singh and everybody at the Gurdwara Dukh Nivaran Sahib Gurdwara have done to help everyone in need through the pandemic. From curbside or home delivery of tens of thousands of meals to the opening of the Guru Nanak Food Bank in July, the spirit of generosity shines through as something our whole community can celebrate with Guru Nanak Dev Ji's birthday.
From Brampton South, I want to congratulate the hard-working team of Sikh Seva Society for their tireless efforts in the community. The organization is giving out food packages, blankets, clothing, and care to individuals who are in need during this pandemic. I extend my warmest wishes to everyone in Canada and around the world. Happy Gurpurab to everyone.
Sat Sri Akal and heartiest congratulations to all of you celebrating virtually birthday of Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji from me, Ramesh Sangha, Member of Parliament, Brampton Centre. The three ideals of Guru Nanak Dev, Naam Japo Kirti Karo Vanshako, are the great lessons for the mankind. The exemplary effort of Assis Foundation run by Dania Dhillon of My Riding fully personifies by providing devoted services to the community. Happy Gurpurab to everyone. Thank you.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Sahib Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji de Gurpurab diyan lakh lakh badaiyan. Here in Brampton East, I would like to highlight the Sikh Seva Society and their work in providing hundreds of meals to those in need. Throughout the pandemic, their dedicated volunteers have been busy delivering meals, giving out blankets, and offering their assistance to anyone in need. Thank you to the Sikh Seva Society and the many other organizations who have stepped up during this difficult time. Once again, greetings on the auspicious occasion of the 551st birth anniversary of our first Sikh Guru, Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Keep safe and stay healthy, everyone.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. And a very happy Guru Purab to all of you. This has been a very challenging year for so many Canadians, but so many people have stepped up to help their friends and their neighbors in communities all across the country. This couldn't be more true of the Sikh community in Markham Thornhill and across Canada. Your long history of volunteerism, philanthropy, and compassion represents the very best of what it means to be Canadian. I would also like to recognize the Gursikh Sabha Canada for their valuable work in serving many of my constituents in Markham Thornhill, especially at this very challenging time as we fight against COVID-19. To all the Sikhs across Canada and around the world, happy Guru Purab.
What a night. I wanted to start off by saying thank you to my dear friends and colleagues, the Honorable Navdeep Bains and the Honorable Minister Harjit Sajjan. I also want to give a shout out to two other people that are joining us tonight. Senator Sarbjeet Marhwa is with us, as well as former Member of Parliament, the Honorable Gurbjot Singh Mali. And what's been clear is, despite the challenges that COVID-19 has brought, it's amazing to be able to connect virtually together. मैं आज कह रही हूँ कि इधर मैं कभी नहीं सोचा सीगा कि आपा नु मौका मिलेगा कि आपा भी श्री गुरु नानक साहिब जी दा गुरपुरब खट्टे दा मनाओगे virtually, पर आपा नु मौका मिल रहा है, चलो आ भी काम आपा कर लिया. सो बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद कि तुसी टाइम करके साडे नाल शामिल होयो. And as you've heard, Sikh Canadians across the country have been dedicating their time in assisting their communities during this pandemic. serving on the front lines, giving free meals through lungers, and so much more. Your contributions to helping Canada build back even better is truly inclusive, and we cannot thank you enough. And I want to ensure that you're hearing the many, many caucus colleagues that want to be here with us tonight. So I just want to rhyme them off because they deserve shout out. So I want to give a shout out to Anju Dillon, c'est la députée pour Dorval-Lachine-LaSalle. Faisal Al-Khoury, le député pour Laval-Les-Îles. Francesco Sabera is with us, Member of Parliament for Vaughan Woodbridge. Ikra Khalid, the Member of Parliament for Mississauga Erin Mills. Kamal Kara, Member of Parliament and Parliamentary Secretary for Brampton West. Ken Hardy, MP for Fleetwood Port Kells. The Honourable Kirsty Duncan, MP for Etobicoke North. Lloyd Longfield, MP for Guelph. Mininder Sidhu, MP for Brampton East. The Honourable Marco Mendicino, MP for Eglinton Lawrence. Marie-France Lalonde, la députée pour Orléans. The Honourable Mary Ng for Markham Thornhill. Ramesh Sangha, MP for Brampton Centre. Randeep Sarai, MP for Surrey Centre. Ron McKinnon, MP for Coquitlam, Port Coquitlam. Ruby Sahota, MP for Brampton North. Sonia Sidhu, MP for Brampton South. Suk Dhaliwal, MP for Surrey Newton. Terry Duguid, MP for Winnipeg South. And right here from the Waterloo region, special shout outs to Tim Lewis, MP for Kitchener-Conestoga. Raj Saini, MP for Kitchener Centre. Brian May, MP for Cambridge. And with that, we wish each and every single one of you just to keep well healthy and safe. If you've not had time, please download the COVID app. Your safety, your health is a priority for our government. There's also the Wellness Together portal. We know that health and mental health is essential. So bas ehi do tin char shabd de naal Guru Nanak the Gurpurb diyan bahut ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਵਧਾਈਆਂ. Please keep well and safe, and we'll see you soon. ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ.
ਸਤਿਗੁਰ ਨਾਨਕ ਪ੍ਰਗਟਿਆ, ਮਿਟ ਧੁੰਦ ਜਗ ਚਾਨਣ,